Good evening, and for those where it's night, let it be good. So we've gathered a new platform. It seems there's nothing significant in terms of confusion from the transition, but all the mistakes, unlearned lessons, and many things that shouldn't have happened have surfaced. And this is a careless attitude towards ourselves, because all of this will make everyone pay a very high price. The first thing is that everyone rushed to change their nicknames, last names, and first names, as if they decided that someone can hide. And of course there is a panic over this so-called surveillance social rating, ATC. It's somewhat understandable for those who are new here, but for those who have been here for years to forget everything like that, it's inexcusable on your part. What kind of panic can there be about this when social ratings were conducted in the USSR starting in the 1950s, right after Stalin's death? As soon as the Illuminati bought the USSR from the cult party nomenclature, I broke it all down for you back in 2012-13, explaining how it all worked. How selection started from the maternity award, then the nurseries, kindergartens, deciding who would go to which school, how many classes someone would finish, who will go on the higher education, who will be sent to camp, and etc. Even the baboon program for parents determined who would marry whom and who would take whom as a wife. And your biometric data? It used to be collected by the noble medical system, and it still is. What's the difference? And technology. Now there are computers, digital technologies, and this has become more obvious than it was before, but nothing has changed. Everyone had their own file from Word, which was stored in certain special service archives. Back then it was a dossier, now it's a file. There's no difference. Some have enunciated that supposedly VK is collecting data and so on, but which of these so-called platforms doesn't collect this data? At least here they don't hide it and don't pretend to be fighters for non-existent freedom like others such as Telegram, Bastion, Boosty and the rest. We spent almost 2 weeks on the Maru platform in a group parallel world, where I explained to you what systemic opposition is. And I give specific examples with names and surnames explaining how systemic opposition would function if they were on platforms like Telegram, Boosty, TikTok. They need a platform. So running, fusing and jumping around is just showing the system what a fool you are. Back in the 70s or 80s, when I was scanning music, I came across a sports song called "A Cool Word Doesn't Play Hockey." I don't want to offend or insult anyone here, but it fits our situation perfectly. An information war doesn't commend partisans. Either you're a fool or you're someone who resists. You stand up, straight up, and say, "I'm against it." Why? Because there's nowhere to hide. Nowhere. Everything is under their control. And everything else is just a game. As they say, it's a bunch of people wanting to play partisans, who of course will be identified, caught and destroyed the moment it becomes necessary. Just one visit here is enough, and not only are you unfit for any social rating, but you're already on the blacklist. Sure, at first you can try to clean yourself up by saying, "Sorry, I ended up in the wrong place, this isn't to my taste," and then run far away. But if you come once, twice and a third time pretending to be the partisan, then not only do you have a checkmark on a blacklist, but you're already an enemy of the system. That's why I have to protect you. Why am I bringing this up? It's very simple in the group Resistance on Underklassniki. There are currently 2,170 people come, read, and try to figure things out. Of course, part of them are representatives of the special services and they have nothing to fear. But out of these 2,170s, about 2,000 are the same partisans who come, grab the information, read it and are too scared to move, like or comment because they'll be identified immediately. But you've been all identified long ago, not to mention subscribing and becoming a follower. So if this were not an information war front, and I were a regiment commander, I wouldn't even budge towards the front line with the 2,000-man regiment. I would rather go alone. Why did I focus on those who have been here for a long time? Have you forgotten everything? It was your duty to explain things to the newcomers, not to panic along with them. There's no reason to panic. Everything new here is just forgotten or unlearned old lessons. That's why you are constantly being told all your actions must be conscious. This isn't a pioneer camp or a playground for little Octoberists. If newcomers arrive, then those who know are responsible for them and must explain everything to them. Yes, I taught you to be observers, but you will never become an observer if you want to remain masked, hidden, like an invisible person. This isn't some kind of secret society. We're all out in the open here. You've been told that an observer isn't something from quantum physics or quantum engineering. An observer is the witness who will later testify at the creator's court. As for the microcosm, the observer is the creator as well as myself, who controls all the process of the neutral zone, even that part which is called the abyss, because I'm responsible for that. The status of observers and witness that has been assigned to you brings both duties and responsibilities according to the cone. You will have to report at the court, and what will you say if you've been playing Harris all this time instead of fulfilling your proper role? So you must carry out your assigned mission, not hide your head in the sand like an ostrich exposing your bare backside. That's why it's required of you that your action be conscious. You came here to protect and save your essence, not to meet the needs of your form, a three-dimensional image which, as you know, doesn't even exist here in illusion. It's a product of your illusory state, the coma through which your essence has been controlled. That's why you are constantly being told. Now you understand you made a mistake, which is the reason why the system doesn't intend to take you into account or take you seriously. Such partisans are nothing more than an additional tool for the systemic opposition from the perspective of the control system. There's no other choice here. Either you stand up and move forward, or you remain this illusory zombie. This is where the words of the sports song come in. A coward doesn't play hockey. These words fit perfectly as if they were made for the situation. I've looked at what's happening here, scanned everything when you say transfer me to the source, how others even express the desire to go to the temple. First ask yourself the question, am I ready? Do I understand what I'm doing and where am I going? This is a war. Once you've taken a step, there is no turning back. Here we step on a rake, we learn from our mistakes. The first part of our meeting is intended for you, point out what needs to be changed, corrected, or when it's time to exit the game. Now we move on to the second part. What is designated by the letter of the alphabet I is intended for the form of my avatar. It has no name or surname like you do, so I have to use the pseudonym Sergei Trofimov. This is necessary to go through official procedures to access the network, and so that you have some way to address me if needed. My avatar, the form, has a specific purpose, direct communication with you carrying out specific functions related to solving certain tasks. For example, through it I had to help those suffering from the so-called disease X, COVID, which may have attributed some kind of superpowers to it, as some avatars do in various plots and scenarios, playing different roles and claiming various statuses of prophets, healers, clairvoyants, and some even as priestess and gods such as the Mashiach or Mahdi. There are even those who attempt to claim the role of Jesus Christ in reincarnated form. There are plenty of teachers and saviors in the form of three-dimensional beings, portraying themselves as figures using rituals, technologies, and various tools, offering services like healing, exorcism, curse removal, and more, for which they change money. Meanwhile, my form, the avatar, does not claim any role of status in the illusion and tries not to stand out from the crowd or attract attention. It does not have what you call ego, the identification of I. By the letter and sound I identify myself as a representative as the creator, something my form does not, of course, claim. So if anyone thinks that I seek power or some kind of status in this illusory world, they're gravely mistaken. My form does not claim any role in this illusion, and in over 10 years of our communication it has not given any reason to think otherwise. By the identifying sound I designate myself as a representative of the higher powers, which has nothing to do with the form or body here in the illusion, and this is a reality of both this illusory and parallel world. The inability of the governing avatar here to identify me for who I am is not my problem, but theirs. As you say, ignorance does not absolve from the responsibility. Everything I have spoken to the form, the body is a product of my three-dimensional avatar, which leaves no room for ignoring the demands I have issued through the form. Nor can be attributed to the three-dimensional form as if it was not I, the representative of the creator who spoke them, and that they can't be ignored. With that we end today's meeting. We await the appropriate results. The next time we meet will be on Sunday, where I will explain all the information that has already been presented and will continue to be presented in the announcements. With that I bid you farewell until Sunday. Sovereign of the universe, the first, Veles.